when he does the how.
And Anthony.
Yes, so the who, God, myself, Grant, Anthony Van Ingen, who is also Canadian. He's from Paris, Ontario. He has been there full time, and so he keeps things going on base when he's in Guatemala. He's there for 10 months, and then he comes home for 2 weeks at Christmas, and he comes home for 6 weeks during the summer, so he can keep his connections going. We are all self-reliant, and so Anthony does a lot of, his church supports him, and he's got friends that have been very generous to keep him eating. So Power at Work is made up of many, and it's not just us who are the hands and the feet of Christ in Guatemala. It's the many of you who are praying for us. Brenda, Robert in Alberta, who I know are praying for us, because prayer is what's going to keep God's ministry going. In Guatemala, we have Nim and Estefa, and their kids, Lindsay and Chris. They run our sponsorship program. And Chris is our youngest missionary at 5. I have never seen a child. He has 3 languages. He has a speech impediment, and so he has that language. He can actually speak English pretty good and Spanish. So he makes himself understood, and he loves to share the gospel when we go out into the community with other children. It's quite something to watch. You'll see a video, and hopefully you'll notice who he is. We've also got Edwin, who is kind of like he's 30 years old. He is single. I should mention Anthony is single as well. And in case, anybody feels led to go to Guatemala and stay in Guatemala, he won't give up his kids. Edwin is kind of our jack of all trades. He can lead a Bible class for kids as well as he can teach a 9-year-old how to strip a bicycle. And he does everything in between. We're quite proud of him. He has, in this last year, he kind of holds a side position as a youth pastor in one of the churches up in the mountains. So that's it's neat to watch him grow. We also have Mauricio, who I'm going to say he would be the youngest member of our team. Newest member of our team. He's 19, and he's kind of the helper in the shop. And so he's Anthony's helper and extra hands and feet. And again, anybody that's working down there or works with us, it doesn't matter what we're doing, they want in. They want to be involved. They want to be the hands and feet of Christ alongside us. So we're very blessed to have that. The what, I'm going to quickly share, because we are going to show you a 6-minute video that will give you kind of a walkthrough of where home is for us in Guatemala. Grant and I are there 6 months out of the year, and we come home to farm. But again, I don't want to impede on what he's sharing. So picture a drop-in center, and picture the doors opening at 8:30 in the morning, and anybody and everybody is welcome to come in. So there's many things going on every day of the week. It's a 7-day go. My favorite day is Waffle Sunday. So every Sunday when we're there, we have waffles for the community. Anywhere from 100 to 150 people will show up for waffles. It used to be I did it all, and now I make the batter. And I have a team of amazing young girls who take over, and we have 4 double waffle irons going all at once. Everybody just takes over. And I was sharing with Christina yesterday, the only reason they don't make the batter is I don't want them in my house at 6 in the morning, right? It's like I need to wake up quietly. So that's my favorite time, and that's what we call our church. Grant will make 120 cups of coffee, and again, the kids love to come in, the boys love to share, and hand out the coffee to the girls, because in Guatemala, again, it's very much men are here, women are here, and so we don't want to change their culture, but yet we want to teach them that it's okay to treat your wife as though you're supposed to treat God, or you know where I'm trying to say. Yes, love your wife like you love God. So it's kind of fun to be part of that. We also have Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, and Sundays. We have soccer. Thursday is also women's soccer. We have biking and hiking programs. We have a sponsorship program. We do Bible classes. I will teach English when I'm there I am not an English teacher by any means, but God's called me to do that until someone else steps up to the plate. You think of anything else? Oh, more importantly, we have, well, everything's important. One of the things we do and how Power at Work actually started was Ephesians 3:20 picnic tables. I know Grant will share on that, but so Ephesians 3:20 is what the ministry is built on, which is now unto him who is able to do exceedingly abundantly more than we can ask or imagine, according to the power at work in us. And that's God's power at work in us. So obviously we make full-size picnic tables for the families. But one of the things we like to do is we will deliver picnic tables all over Guatemala. I think there's over 1,300 tables out there. And it opens the door for us to share the gospel, because the biggest blessing God has for us is a relationship with him. So that's something we like to share. And the kids are involved in making these picnic tables. We also do Ephesians 3:20 bunk beds. As some of you may know, it's not uncommon to have 3 to 5 children in a single bed. And these are really sketchy beds. And so the bunk bed project started out as providing safe sleeping arrangements, especially for the girls. And I think we've done over 300 of those as well. Those are sponsored. So yeah, there's bunk beds everywhere. The bunk beds, the tables are part of a project. We have a multi-purpose shop where we teach woodworking. Not we, Anthony teaches woodworking. Grant teaches welding. We have bicycle repair, which Edwin has. We have 10-year-olds that can strip a bike and put it back together in like less than an hour. It's become a bit of a competition for the kids. Trying to think of what other I'm trying to give you a quick breakdown so that when you see the video, you'll understand what's going on. Yeah, crafts.
Our whole compound, if you see it, it's only half an acre. Like that's only
Here, come on, Rich.
100. You can probably hear me, can't you? Yeah, we can all hear you. Yeah. So our whole compound is only 140 feet by 160 feet. So when you see it, that's a perspective, right? We have a wall all the way around it, and it was built and paid for within 2 years. And I like to show people because so they know our engineer how good he was. Anthony and I are sitting at the picnic table once, and we're drawing on a little piece of paper. Comes in and it's sketched. That was our engineer drawing. And so it's neat to see. We just stepped out, and I like to tell, I've heard it before, God can't direct somebody that stands still, so you have to move. So we just kind of stepped out. We didn't know what we were doing. And so this whole compound, if you can remember, it started with a sketch on a piece of paper. But we worked for other missions 10 years prior. Anthony and I, we were down there. That's where I met him. Even though he lives 40 minutes away, I met him in Guatemala. He was working with a kids' home, and all I did was work in a shop, period. That's all I did. I didn't want kids. I didn't want nothing. I just worked in a shop. And all he wanted was kids and have the kids work in the shop. So him and I just get out of my shop, right? So he's the people person. I'm the just get her done kind of guy.
I was originally going to share that the ministry is also really big on building relationships, but he just kind of kiboshed that one.
Yeah. Well, it is. It's just that's not me, right? And so I'm trying to say God can use the people who are not qualified. I farmed my whole life. I'm a farmer. And mine, get it done. Do not wait till tomorrow if you can get it done today. And I do not speak Spanish. I try to learn a word a year, but I usually kind of forget one, so I'm still at about 15 to 20 words. The most important word you need to know in Guatemala is tal vez. And it doesn't matter who's talking to you, you can answer intelligently, because it says maybe. So, but the kids are amazing, and Anthony he can speak fluent, and you got to remember, Anthony went there when he was 18 years old, and he knew nothing. And I'll say this to his face, he was dumb as a stick, but he was obedient. And now and I was too, don't get me wrong. But he knew nothing. He never worked in a kid's home, he knew nothing. He didn't do woodworking, and now he teaches the kids tons of stuff, everything. And he'll have a dozen kids in that shop, all either sanding or cutting or working, and he's the hands and feet of that, right? Me, I'll go fix the electricity, right?
Grant is our bulldozer, so if we need something done, we just tell Grant, it just gets done.
Yeah, so it's never, don't ever think that, oh man, these guys are qualified. We were not qualified for nothing. I had never been on a plane hardly before until I went to Guatemala. And it started, some missionaries in our kitchen, and he's talking about Guatemala, and I was like, he says, you should go. I said, I'm not going. I don't want to go. I farm. I'll give you some money. And he said, God never said give money to missions. He said, go. I was like I didn't want, and that was my brain. I was like, fine, God, I'll go, but I'm not going to like it, but I'll go. And so I went, and I was there 2 weeks, and when I come home, I told everybody that I knew, I'm going to have my farm sold in 3 to 5 years and build a house in Guatemala. Like something happened down there, okay? And I had been saved already for like 30 years. So this wasn't new. I knew God, and I did God, and I was trying to be a missionary in my own little spot, but just leave me on my farm, right? And so in the 5th year, I had a friend come over and asked if I wanted to sell my farm. We shook hands, no real estate, nothing. He just come over. And we shook hands, made the deal, and I sold the farm, and within a month, I was in Guatemala for 3 months, and I was starting to build a house. Being in missions just means obedience. So if God says in your little brain to go somewhere, go, do it, and watch what God can do. And so we try to tell these kids, so they're sitting in a shop. One of my very first prayers when I got there, like 20 years ago, I had to fix something, and all they had was a hacksaw, like nothing. And I came home that day, and I said, God, I would like this shop in Guatemala. And my shop at home, I had everything, all the tools, everything I needed. And 15 years later, when we had built our shop in Guatemala, I'm standing there and going, wow, God answered that prayer. We got everything. And so we try to tell the kids, because most of them were even 15 at the time, that when you ask God for something, you don't necessarily get it that moment. But they are all, and my brain was like, I want a shop for me to fix stuff in. I didn't even think of kids. I didn't think of Anthony. It was all about me. And now I'm hardly fix anything in there. It's the kids. So God had a bigger plan. So ask God big plans. This was something that I couldn't achieve. It's just like you guys building a church or wanting a bigger church, you got to step out and watch what God can do, because when it's done and when it's built and when you're moved in, I'm not saying if, when, you can turn around and look, I didn't do this. God did this. And so that's the most important thing. It's always God. It's not you building a church, because honestly, you can't. And just like we couldn't build a compound. So now we tell these kids, and now we raise money for a big roof over our soccer field. So we tell the kids that God loved them so much that he got people from another country to raise money to build this for you. And these are poverty kids. These are kids, most of them, 50% have dirt floors. Nobody has washing machines or cupboards or stoves or nothing, very little. So we try to tell these kids that God loved you so much that he was willing to do this for you, because it's not our benefit. I don't need nothing down in Guatemala. So it's to show how much God loves us, even though we don't deserve that love. And so these kids, they get the gospel all the time. We send containers down every 2 years now. It was every year. And on it, a church like you guys sent a great big boom box. We didn't even know whether it worked, right? It was where you plug I don't even what you call them. You plug something in.
Amplifier.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Well, after a year, Anthony said, I'll try it. And it worked. We just plug our
You'll actually hear it on the video.
we plug our cell phone in with music. Anthony does. I'm not techie. And we play worship music all the time, from early in the morning till late at night. So these kids are standing, listening to, and because Carol's taught them English, they are learning worship songs in English. So they're standing and they're praising, singing with the songs. So it's like when that verse, God wants to bless us exceedingly abundantly, more than we could ever ask or imagine, according to the power that works in us. I couldn't have saw any of this. But it started with me. I did go to Guatemala. I could say probably that's the only contribution that I did for anything that's happening in Guatemala. I made the step. And then God did everything else. Just like Peter getting out of the water, Peter had to get out of the boat. He had to make a step. Everything else was God. So that's my challenge, that step. Don't. If you hear that little voice, do it. And watch God move.
Yeah, always follow the nudge.
I was going to tell him about that. So I started making picnic tables back in 2012. And people, and they were $100 at the time, and people were from back in Canada says, like, how are you making a profit on these tables? Like, they're $100. How do you pay for it? You get sponsors, and then you keep the 100, and I said, we give everything away. So there's no money involved. We give them away. But it opens the door for us to spread the gospel. And we always quote Ephesians 3:20. And one quick little thing is, we went up with another bunch of people to a village out in the boondocks, and there was a daughter, 4 kids, and a grandmother, I think. And we carried wood for them, and this was like a 30-year-old mother of 4 carrying 70 pounds of wood on her head.
There was actually 5.
And when she said it's just a little ways to her house, she was going to carry this wood herself on her head. And we thought, we could help her. So we picked it, but it took 2 of us 2 different times to carry it as far as she was going. And so when we delivered it, we give them a basket or a soccer ball and some toys and blah, blah, a few little things, right? And a Bible. And when we're leaving, she said to us, I thought God had forgotten all about us until you came. And so when you get some stories like that, and that's what I say, when you guys step out, whether it's your neighbor, whether it's the soup kitchen or whatever, you do not know the effect it will have, but it will have an effect. And whatever effect it has on that person, it actually blesses us more.
Mm-hmm. Definitely has a ripple effect.
You'll see
so
it in the...
Just so you, in case you hadn't noticed, we don't rehearse. I have no clue what's going to come out of his mouth. So anyways, go.
There's always miracles. When you see this video, see our big shop. And our shop is 60 feet by 70 feet. And the funny part is, that's bigger than my shop was back in Canada. And so you got to picture this. This is not a square. This is not like a contractor's dream project, okay? In any country. So this property is not square. It's out by 12 feet at one corner. And it's built around 2 big mango trees that are still in the shop, okay? So it's not square, and it's got 2 mango trees in it. And so we got a builder doing it, and he's just not getting it. Like, how do you make these big trusses? And he's a good guy, he's a good welder, and he's making them, but he's just like, and Anthony can't really explain. Anthony understands it, but can't really explain it to him. And I'm on the phone with Anthony, and he's like, I'm frustrated with these guys. Oh, and then he says, right in the middle of it, a pastor comes and wants food. So he says, I gotta hang up and deal with this pastor who wants food, and I got the construction workers. And so he called me back an hour later. He says, well, the pastor that came for food is looking at the project with these guys up there, 5 welders and trusses and everything. There's no machines. It's all by hand. And the guy says, are you having trouble with this roof? Anthony says, oh, yeah, it's a nightmare. He said, well, I build buildings in Guatemala City. Do you want me to take a look? And he's Spanish. He's a Guatemalan. He climbed up, grabbed their grinder, cut the pieces where it was. He wasn't up there on the roof half an hour, come back down, and they had it all figured out. We never, ever saw that pastor again. So we just keep getting miracles like that. And so it's neat to see when you step out. You get to see some stuff that staying in your box, you just will never see. And so I challenge you, when you're building your church, step out a lot. And if you need 10 things and you only have the resources for 2, watch how God does the 10. And so, because let it be, you will be able to, I'll come back up here in a few years, and you'll be able to say the same testimony about God building your church. You know, and it has the kids, it has nursery, it has all these things, and I didn't even think of these. And God's going to do something bigger and better. Actually, it's going to be Ephesians 3:20, better than you can imagine. And there isn't one of you in here that can imagine as good as it's going to be, because it's a God thing. It's not a you thing. So be prepared for something good.
On that note, maybe we can show the video. So we've got 2 videos. Oh, here it is.
Aquí igual, ¿ves?
Road trip that brings all the K-Love fun straight to your hometown.
And we can't wait to spend some time hanging out with you and bring you an exclusive sneak peek.
Find out where next at klove.com.
Busy bees today.
For like 3 years just learning.
Bye.
Descolgaces y reunirás en tu casa a tu padre y a tu madre, a tus hermanos y a toda la familia de tu padre.
¿Cómo? ¿Qué pasó? Look at I had hair.
Guay.
Those boys love competition. They love this game.
Listo. Can.
Yes, El.
Vamos igual otra vez.
Ready?
La gran solo entró por María.
Mira, ya llevan las dos cartas. Vos, Diego, cuidado con las cartas. Ya llevan.
This is our report.
Yo dije
¿Cuál fue el primer sueño que tuvo?
a mí trae mi carro.
Now,
One of the miracles, or one, he wants to share a couple of miracles, but I have a lot of special moments, and it goes back to the music playing in the shop. During soccer, you got to remember, like 4 or 5 years ago, these kids were on the streets fighting each other. Gangs, if you don't have a safe place for kids to go to, they will make gangs and they will find family, because their family lives, for the most part, aren't great. So we were playing soccer, and Carlos, who's now 18, he's full on, like these kids they love their soccer, right? Like the soccer ball comes out and then the baby comes out. That's generally how it goes in Guatemala. So Carlos is tearing down the field, and all of a sudden a praise song came on. He just stopped. And it was pretty special to watch a teenager praise God. Sorry. Another thing is Anderson. I pointed him out. We have watermelon almost every day because the kids' families can't afford watermelon, so we love to give them fruit. So I got this watermelon, and it's set up at the picnic table, and I'm trying to cut it. And I mean, Anderson is like belly up to the table. I'm like, dude, I'm going to cut your hand off. Back up. I don't know when he ate last. So he's wanting this piece of watermelon, like he's hungry. So I hand it to him, but I wouldn't let him eat it. I says, no, you serve it to the next person. And he's kind of looking at me funny, but he's like, okay. And then the next piece, no, you serve it. Because he was always so pushy, I'm like, no, the Bible says if you want to be first, you need to be last, and you need to serve. We're called to serve. So he took he learned that lesson, and then it kind of backfired, because now they began fighting over who was going to serve. So it's a fun thing to have, but it's neat how we share the gospel, but we use moments in our everyday lives, because we're just doing lives with these kids to share and to teach. We were out on one of our hikes, and you didn't see as many girls in this video. The girls kind of come out of the woodwork when I show up, because Anthony's single, Mao's single, Edwin's single. The girls and their families kind of make them sort of stay away, which I understand. So when I come, the girls come, which is awesome. That's why I try to get there longer and stay there longer. But we were out climbing rocks and stuff and having fun, and one of the young girls slid down and ripped her pants. And there was 2 other girls there, and they were being kids, kind of poking fun at her and laughing. So I called them all aside, and I said, no, you know what? One of yous stay behind her, like just teaching, look out for each other. So it was kind of neat to be able to use that moment to teach kindness and to teach what would Jesus do. So yeah, we could tell hundreds of stories.
Tell him about Anderson, and he wanted to give you a Bible lesson, and you said not now.
Yeah, so Sunday mornings are quite busy. One of the things I teach the kids during English class is Bible verses, and they get like a check mark for every time they get their Bible verse. And he comes in on Sunday morning, and he's like, can I tell you my verse? And I'm like, not now. It's not a good time. And he's like, it's not a good time to share the word of God. I'm like, oh. Yeah. So now it doesn't matter what's going on, Carol stops.
So in the midst of our compound, kind of in the middle, out in front of a shop beside the soccer field, we have a well. Fresh, clean water, okay? So when you got a picture, this is just a dirt field, and we got a hold of a guy that drills wells. He's Guatemalan, but that's their mission. They will pay for half, okay? It costs $30,000. They paid for the first 15. But it had to be used for the community. That was the requirement. So you've got to remember, fresh, clean water is not a normal even around here. It's hard to get fresh, clean water. So he comes in, and it takes a year. From the time I tell him, he's not coming for a year. So he comes in, and I had another guy. I said, I want you to pray for me that I want an artesian well here in Guatemala, right there. And so he prayed for me, okay? Or prayed
for us.
For us. And so when the driller came, he's like, well, where do you want this put, right? He's thinking here, there, and I'm thinking. And I walk over middle of the field, and I go, I want it right there. Put your machine right there. And he goes, why? And I'm going, you know what? God knew I was going to point my finger there when the earth was made, and he got water there. Okay? And so we're drilling. We're down 125 feet, and it's like a 6-inch tube, the drilling ring. And I'm like, we're getting no water. So I told Carol that night, I said, you know what? I guess I'm going to have to buy a pump. And she went, where's your faith? I was like, fine. Okay. So the next morning, we walk up, 8 o'clock in the morning. We got fresh, clean water coming out of that hole. Like the drilling rig is still in the hole. You got to remember, okay? It's mud all over. And it's running out the top of the pipe down into the soccer field. And because I'm a farmer, I just take my hands and start drinking it, right? And it's at 2 U.S. gallons a minute coming out of the ground, fresh, clean water. We hit our artesian well. And then I put a pipe on it that's like about 10 feet tall, and once we got the piping in it and all the stone and the drilling rig is out, and we got a pipe that's 10 feet high, and that pipe water is still coming out over the top. And since then, we have put a pump on it because we want more volume because we have a pipe that goes underground outside to the neighbor.
To the
Anybody
community.
can get as much fresh, clean drinking water as they want. We have fresh, clean drinking water in our house. Turn the tap, and our pump pumps 10 gallons a minute, and it never runs dry. Fresh, clean water all the time. And
It's-
that in a third world country is a big deal, but it's a big deal even in Canada, right?
They'll go, sometimes in the community, they'll go like a week to 2 weeks with no water. Because it's 6 months, where we live, it's 6 months rainy season and 6 months dry season. During the rainy season, it'll rain for a couple of hours. Sometimes it'll rain like 3-4 days straight, but for the most part, it's a couple of hours a day, and that's when they collect their water. But during the dry season, they have no water. And if the community, I don't know what it is, it's like just doesn't switch on the switch, they don't have water. So it's really neat to be able to provide, and again, just being obedient, to provide clean, fresh drinking water for the community 24 hours, 365 days a year. Families show up with buckets and wheelbarrows full of different empty containers, and they can take as much water. The only kind of rule we have is don't bathe there. You know, it's not, you want to take water to go bath, go ahead, we don't care. But yeah, so it's been really kind of neat to see that miracle happen and how many lives it's impacted. So again, one of the things we can do all these things for the kids and their families and the community, but sharing the gospel, giving them the hope in Christ that we have, that is the key. And being able to teach these kids different skills so that they can then make an impact in their lives. It makes an impact in their lives. It makes an impact in their families' lives, but it also makes an impact in their community, because there's a high percentage of these people that we're working with, they're not going anywhere. They're going to marry within the community. They're going to have kids. Those kids are going to get married. Like some of the kids, when we do tables and beds, we'll take them, sometimes we take them 8 hours away, and their families love it because we're giving the kids an opportunity that they would probably never have. Some of the kids haven't traveled 20 minutes out of their community, so they get quite excited when, they get picked for going out, road trip, or going to deliver picnic tables. And then, like Grant says, he used to build the picnic tables. He's lost his job to 10-year-olds. This is a good problem to have. We're no longer, we're no longer needed, we're wanted, right? So just trying to teach, build relationships, and have them take over, have them do it in their community. Again, it's kind of neat. Chris, who's 5, neither of us wore our Power at Work shirts, but it has Ephesians 3:20 written on the back. And Chris likes to share Ephesians 3:20, and he likes to share, because he's Guatemalan, he likes to be sharing to his Guatemalan friends and families.
So these tables, right now they're about $150, okay? But the key is when kids make them now, Anthony has made the little money scheme up. So when a kid is making those in our shop, if there's 2 of them, for every table they make, I think it's 10 quetzales, which is about $2, okay? But a man's wages is $2 an hour. So if 2 kids can make one of these tables in an hour, and they put it all together, they can make half a man's wage, so that's included in the price of a table. So every kid that's in there that is making either bunk beds, tables, things that we give away that people have sponsored, they make money on. Mm-hmm. So they take that home, they can buy shoes instead of their family have to. They can buy a little groceries here and there. So these kids make money, and that's how they do it, because Anthony has put the price in the material already. Just a quick note, before I went to Guatemala, before any of it, I had a guy, it was a con job, but anyhow, I ended up having to pay $350,000. This is 30 years ago. And it was my own fault. I signed a note for somebody, but it was a con and everything. Number one, I had to admit, because I signed it, that it was my fault. I couldn't blame him. And I had a pastor tell me, because I was a little angry for quite a while at paying this. And the pastor says, you have to forgive him. And I'm like, you know what? And you have to pray for him. And I said, I pray for him every day, and those rocks have not fallen on his head. That was my extent. And I went home that night, and I said, God, why do I got to pray for that scoundrel? I said it just like that to him. I was like, answer that one. Small voice, but the loudest voice I've probably ever heard in my life was, I died for him. Like, I can't even argue with that, right? And I say that before anything could happen in Guatemala, I had to get things right with me. And so I challenge you as a church, before you put a shovel in the ground in your new church, get things right with yourself. And it could be simple things like that. Forgive my brother, sister, cousin, relative. Because those things the enemy will use as a stumbling block. So anybody you're angry with, no matter what anybody did to you, that person Christ died for. And you can't, if that person is that important, that Christ would come and die for that person, then he is worth praying for. And so I ended up having to pray for these guys for, like lawyers and him, for 4 years. And God is weird, okay? Because one of the things, so you got a picture, I'm trucking down a road all the time, and all of a sudden these roads they're blocked, they're under construction, and we had protests, and they closed the road, so I had to go a different route to truck all this, my grain. And on this, the name of the guy, I won't even mention his name, it won't matter. Anyhow, his name was on an angling road that I had to cross twice a day. So 4 times a day, I saw his name on a sign. And for 4 years, I'm just looking at this guy's name. Every time I cross, and I'm praying for him. And so God does, to me, that's weird that he could do that. But it was a reminder, pray for that guy. And after 4 years, the road opened, the construction ended, and I didn't go by that road anymore, but I wasn't angry anymore. So that's my challenge for you before you start your big project. Whatever it is, and it could just be an individual, do it, and give it to God, because you know what? You're not meant to handle it. Okay?
All right. Another thing I wanted to say, we're almost getting close to, I was teasing a few people. I said, oh yeah, Christina said we could talk for 3 hours. And we really could talk for 3 hours. It's like all these stories going through my head, and it's like, no, they're probably getting hungry. So the reason we brought this, I did share it with a few people. We're going to have a draw. So when we're done, if you want to participate in the draw, it doesn't cost anything. You don't actually win anything, except this table, which you could feed squirrels on. But what the winner will get is in Guatemala, we will deliver a table to a family in your honor, and we will send you their pictures and a little history of that family, and hopefully it's encourage you to pray for that family. And who knows, you know what? Never say never. I had one person say they were too old to go to Guatemala. I am looking at that person right now. And you're never too old. If God calls you, whether it's Guatemala, whether it's in your backyard, you know what? As believers, if you're a believer, if you're in this church today and you are a believer in Jesus Christ, you are called to be a missionary 365 days a year, wherever God plants your feet. Your backyard, your family, your work, anywhere and everywhere. We're just, I'm privileged, and that's a whole other story of how Grant and I got together and how I ended up in Guatemala, because honestly, when I thought I was going to do missions, I thought I was going to Rwanda. Rwanda, Guatemala, at least they rhyme. So anyways, if you want to participate in the draw, there's little ballots back there Just write your name on it. If you wish to receive our newsletter, no pressure, just put your email. Actually, you need to put your email no matter what, because if you win, you got to get the pictures. But there's a little spot that says if you wish to receive our newsletter, yes or no. And again, we're not doing this we're just doing this because I felt like this is what God wanted us to do today. So we do that. Another thing at the end, we have keychains. They're heart keychains that the kids have made in Guatemala. And we'd like you each to take one. And if there's somebody in your life right now that you have been trying to witness to, take a keychain for them for when they tell you that, yes, they are now your brother or sister, and you can hand them that. So this is a reminder of God's love for us and for those around us. So we'd like everybody to take one of those.
Do you have another little video?
Yes, so we thank you again for allowing us to come and share with you. It's a beautiful area.
That's where a lot of Bible scholars don't know it, and they are wrong, because the Garden of Eden is actually in our compound in Guatemala.
Sorry.
Just so you know.
Small print. I'm not responsible for anything that comes out of his mouth. So Power at Work, on behalf of Power at Work and Grant and I, we'd like to present Pastor Christina with this plaque.
Does everybody see what it says? Yes. Okay. Because sometimes you can't.
If you can't see what it says,
God is still here.
God is still here. Jesus is still here, and just focus on Him, and you'll see Him in your troubles or in your pathways.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Find a nice place for it.
We're going to end with the video because I'm pretty sure we covered all the where, what, why, who, and if not, by all means, please ask.
And if you need to know more, a plane ticket, $600.
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah, and you'll eat lots of beans. I will feed you lots of beans. Yeah, the why is in the video. The why we feel we need to go to Guatemala continuously. So enjoy the video.
Siéntate, Sarid. Pamela. El portero. Merlin. Ya que le. Pero reíte. Ya no está. Pero, ajá, que. De todos los patojos. Ya, solo hice de todas las caritas. Hola. Y hola. Ahí, ni estaba grabando. Un ratito. Saluda. Hola. Es Sofi, ¿va? Chula fue. Y la mamá también. No habla. No habla. Hola. Ponete chula, pues. Ponete chula, pues.
Ay, vamos.
Thank you guys so much for joining us today.